My father returned after 5 years of fighting on the battlefield. At the welcome feast held by the emperor, he used his military merits to beg for the position of secondary wife for his mistress Chen Chuchu, not the least bit concerned for my mother, who had borne his children, cared for the elderly and the young at home all these years. I stood up for my mother in anger, yet there was only calm water in her eyes. She smiled and asked, "If you no longer had a father, would you be very disappointed?" I understood her meaning in an instant, and said firmly, "A father like this is worse than none at all." Later, mother held me and went to the palace to see the emperor. When mother was pregnant with me, the Western Chu invaded the border, and father led the army to fight. It has been 5 years now. I am already a 5-year-old child in nominal age, and I have never seen what father looks like. Today is the day of his triumphant return. I looked forward to meeting my father for the first time, for I could only imagine his appearance from what mother and others said about him on ordinary days. In mother's words, he was a responsible and dependable fine man. In the servants' words, he was a master as gentle as one could be. In the words of outsiders, he kept himself untainted by vulgarity, loved mother deeply and faithfully all along, even when mother had not conceived a child for 3 years after entering the mansion. He never took a concubine. Mother once said sweetly, "When your father asked to marry me, he knelt before your maternal grandfather and promised that I would be the only one for him in this life." And back then, father did indeed withstand the pressure of his elders and the gossip of outsiders, loving mother wholeheartedly all the while. So I admired and liked father a little, and was overjoyed to finally see his real face. I never expected, however, that the father I had longed to see so much. The husband mother had missed day and night, would deal us a heavy blow the moment he came back. At that time, I sat with mother in the Chinese parasol courtyard, chattering excitedly about father's return. Jingxin, the maid, lifted the curtain and walked in, saying respectfully, "Madam, the imperial edict has arrived." Mother and I felt no surprise, thinking it was a reward from the palace. After all, father had rendered outstanding military service this time. Even if he was not conferred a marquis or made a minister, the emperor would surely bestow some material gifts upon him. We hurried to the front courtyard to receive the edict, but when Steward Wu, the emperor's attendant, finished reading the imperial edict, mother's face turned as pale as a sheet. Though I did not understand all of it, I still knew the 2 characters secondary wife. "You unfilial wretch, you unfilial wretch," grandmother muttered, and fainted on the spot from the shock. Taking advantage of their inattention, I walked up to Steward Wu, slipped a packet of silver into his hand, and asked in a low voice, "Grandpa Wu, I didn't understand this imperial edict. Could you explain it to me?" Steward Wu sighed and stroked my head. "Your father traded his unparalleled military merits for a woman's position as secondary wife." "What?" I asked in surprise and confusion. He must have hurt his head in the war and lost his senses. Steward Wu's mouth twitched. "Madam General, try to take it easy. It's common for men to have multiple wives and concubines." "Sigh, that's ridiculous," I said indignantly, standing up for mother. If he couldn't be faithful to one person, why did he promise mother in the first place? A man of integrity keeps his word. How can he be a great general if he breaks his promise? "Mother, if he likes someone else, you shouldn't like him either. That's only fair." I shook mother's arm and said to her. Mother's expression changed several times, and finally settled into a calm as still water. She lowered her head, looked at me fondly, and smiled. "If you no longer had a father, would you be very disappointed?" I blinked, understood her meaning in an instant, and said firmly, "No. A father who doesn't love mother will certainly love the child that woman bears more. He would never love me. So a father like this is worse than none at all." A tear fell from the corner of mother's eye, but she wiped it away quickly. She immediately held me in her arms and said, "Steward Wu, I wonder if His Majesty is free to see me now." "Madam Shu, His Majesty is holding a welcome feast for General Chu. He certainly can't receive you now." Steward Wu looked displeased, speaking with difficulty. Mother took out a jade token she carried with her. "Please, steward, take this to His Majesty. Just ask him if the conditions he agreed to with me back then still stand." Steward Wu hesitated a little. But he also knew there was some past between the emperor and mother. After thinking it over again and again, he agreed. When father returned to the mansion, the doctor was feeling grandmother's pulse. He knew nothing of what had happened, and accused mother right off the bat. "Xu Jingyu, how have you been taking care of my mother?" I immediately stepped in front of mother and stared at him. "It's not mother's fault." He lowered his head and saw me, stunned for a moment first. Then narrowed his eyes and asked, "You are Chu Li?" "Yes." I met his gaze without fear, staring right back at him. He suddenly glared at me and shouted angrily, "No respect for your elders. This is the good daughter you raised. You can't take care of the elders, and you can't teach the children well either. I think you're not fit to manage the household. When Chu Chu enters the mansion, I'll hand over the power of household management to her." Hearing this, I flew into a rage and rushed up to headbutt him. He kicked me without mercy. Fortunately, mother kicked out in time to deflect his strength and reached out to catch me. Otherwise, I would have been either killed or seriously injured. I patted my chest in fear, and tears fell down my cheeks involuntarily. Mother comforted me softly, then looked at father with a stern expression. "Chu Jinghuai, what right do you have to accuse me here? I've been taking care of the old and young of the Chu family for these 5 years. Even if I have no merits, I have labored hard. It's far better than your complete indifference." Father's eyes darted about, not daring to look at mother. Mother sneered, "You know you're in the wrong, don't you?" Mother fell silent for a moment, then smiled. "When it all comes down to it, you're only doing this to seize the power of household management for that woman. If you want it so badly, take it." Mother held me and turned to leave. Father shouted furiously, "Mother is still ill. You're not staying by her side to attend to her. Where do you think you're going?" Mother stopped in her tracks and said sarcastically, "Anyway, you, the filial son, are here. What do you need me for?" With that, she held me and left grandmother's courtyard at once, returning to her own Chinese parasol courtyard. Before long, father slunk into the Chinese parasol courtyard, a slap mark still on his face, obviously from grandmother. When he walked into the room, mother was sitting on a yellow pear wood round-backed chair, her hands resting on the armrests. She lifted her eyes and looked at him. His face was swollen, his eyes wandering, making him look shifty-eyed. "I've heard from mother. You've had a hard time these 5 years. When Chu Chu enters the mansion, she'll help you share the burden." Not to mention how mother felt. I even laughed in anger, speaking in a sarcastic tone. "So that means mother should thank you for your thoughtfulness, and be grateful to that woman for snatching the household management power from her." Mother burst out laughing, reaching out to pinch my cheek. Such a childish little voice, utterly adorable. Then, when she turned to face father, her expression changed at once. Though she was smiling, there was coldness at the corner of her mouth. "Look, even a 5-year-old child knows this is wrong, yet you say it with such pride, as if you're doing it for my own good. I really don't know where you get the nerve." Mother smoothed the ends of her hair, fell silent for a moment, and said, "But the imperial edict has been issued. Naturally, I can't change it. As for the power of household management, we'll talk about it when she enters the mansion. After all, if I don't manage the household, there's still your elder sister-in-law. Since when has the general's mansion been up to a youngest son like you to call the shots?" That's right, that's right." I stuck out my tongue at him triumphantly. If it weren't for mother's rich dowry, and the general's mansion being an empty shell, mother would never have been in charge of the household. The whole big family relied on mother to make ends meet. I thought after we had snubbed him like this, he would have the sense to leave, but he just stood there, looking as if he had something to say but holding back. stealing glances at Mother every now and then. Mother saw he would not speak, and did not ask either, bowing her head to drink tea and read a book. In the end, Father could not hold back and spoke first. Mother's health is not good. You have to take charge of the preparations for my marriage with Choo-Choo. Do you think this makes sense? Mother flipped through The Art of War by Sun Tzu, not lifting her head to ask, "You are the principal wife. It's your duty to help me take a wife and concubines." Mother raised her eyebrows. "Since this is my business, why did you bypass me and go straight to the emperor for an imperial edict to grant the marriage? Wasting such great military merits for nothing." "It's different. Choo-Choo is not a concubine. She is my wife. She accompanied me through hardships these 5 years. How could I let her be inferior to you in status?" he said righteously. Mother shook her head, smiling sarcastically. "A secondary wife is just a nice-sounding title. In the end, she's still a concubine, still inferior to me. Even so, I want to give her the best status among concubines," he said excitedly. Mother looked up at him with a smile. "Do you still remember what you said when you married me?" He turned his face away and said with difficulty, "Let's forget it all. I admit my affections have changed." Mother grabbed a teacup and threw it at him, hitting him square on the forehead. "You say such things about breaking your promise and betraying your oath so openly. Do you really think you're the hero in a storybook, protected by heaven, that even your fart smells sweet? Or do you think that just because I married you, I have to endure your betrayal and swallow this disgusting bitter pill?" Father's head was broken by the blow, and he stood there dumbfounded, staring at Mother, seemingly never expecting her to treat him like this. In the end, he only stammered and threw out a sentence. "In any case, the imperial edict has been issued. It's not up to you." Then he slunk away in disgrace. Watching him leave, disdain flashed in my eyes. I pouted and said, "Mother, Father is nothing like what you all said about him. What responsibility and dependability. He was clearly irresponsible and cowardly incompetent. I really don't know how he won the wars just because he found a mistress. What gentleness and courtesy. He was clearly irritable and rude, only knowing how to accuse others and never reflecting on his own mistakes. What keeping himself untainted and loving faithfully. He even found a beauty to accompany him during the war. How can this be called keeping untainted? He was clearly a man of many affections, unable to bear loneliness." Hearing this, Mother let out a bitter laugh. "I was probably young and ignorant, and blind back then." The next day, Mother held me, boarded the carriage, and headed straight for the imperial city. We stood at the palace gate waiting for almost an hour, tired and hungry. Fortunately, Mother had prepared some snacks for me, and I ate a little. The sun grew hotter and hotter. Jingxin held an umbrella for us, saying anxiously, "Madam, I'm afraid His Majesty won't agree to see you." "No, he will see me." Mother's expression was calm. Speaking with absolute confidence, I clenched Mother's hand tightly. "Yes, Emperor will definitely see Mother." Sure enough, we did not wait long before Steward Wu came in person to escort us into the palace for an audience. Mother took my hand and we knelt in the imperial study. I stared curiously at the awe-inspiring emperor of the mortal world, dumbfounded in an instant. He was so handsome, and his aura was utterly mesmerizing, daunting to behold. Seeing my gaffe, Mother pressed my head down at once. She bowed her head and said anxiously, "Your Majesty, this child knows no manners. Please forgive her." "Ha ha, it's nothing." The emperor laughed aloud, stood up and walked over to help Mother up in person. "Jingyu, you are too formal. It has been nearly 10 years since we last met. Not long after your marriage." "Yes." Mother did not rise, folding her hands and bowing. "Your Majesty, I have come to see you today with an impertinent request." At her words, the emperor's expression turned cold. "Jingyu, you should know a ruler's words are unalterable. The imperial edict has been issued. It cannot be changed at will." Mother straightened up and shook her head. "Your Majesty need not revoke the edict. I only ask for an imperial edict of divorce. Divorce. You want to divorce Chu Jinghuai? The emperor was shocked, speaking in surprise. Mother nodded firmly. Yes, from now on, in heaven and on earth, Chu Jinghuai and I shall have no more ties. Then why not speak directly to Chu Jinghuai? His heart is now entirely on that mistress, he will surely agree. First, I do not wish to entangle myself with him any further. Second, Mother looked at me. Leah must come with me. Please, Your Majesty, for the sake of how I once saved your life. Let me take Leah away. The emperor looked at us with a complicated expression. Jingyu, do you know how hard life will be for you, divorced and with a child in tow? I know. A smile appeared on Mother's exquisite face, yet it was tinged with sarcasm. But I do not wish to stay in the Chu mansion like this, making do for the rest of my life. I do not want to waste my life fighting with other women in the inner quarters. In truth, these 10 years married to Chu Jinghuai, trapped by the affairs of the inner mansion, I have long grown tired. The only thing that kept me here was the little affection he had for me. But now that the affection is gone, apart from Leah, there is nothing left in this Chu mansion that makes me want to stay. Please, Your Majesty, grant me this wish and grant Chu Jinghuai his as well. Sigh. The young emperor picked up the jade token and twirled it in his hand. Are you certain you wish to trade your life-saving grace for a divorce with your daughter in tow? I am certain. I fear the Shu family may not even let you return. I still have my dowry. I need not go back to the Chu family. If Your Majesty does not mind, the listening to the rain tower shall be at your service from now on. As soon as Mother finished speaking, the emperor's eyes lit up. The listening to the rain tower is yours. I set it up for fun before my marriage. I never thought it would grow so large. Very well, since you are so capable, you will surely not struggle to get by after the divorce. I approve of the divorce. You may return first. The imperial edict shall follow shortly. At his words, Mother and I both breathed a sigh of relief. We bowed to thank the emperor and left. Upon returning to the Marquis mansion, the steward came forward and said, Madam, the old madam wishes to see you. I tugged at Mother's sleeve. Shall we go? Mother looked at me. Very well, just one more time. Your grandmother has never treated us badly. Madam, Miss Chen is here. The steward reminded her hesitantly. Chen Chuchu. Yes, Mother, let's not go, I said angrily. Before even marrying into the family, Father had brazenly brought her into the mansion, not giving Mother an ounce of face. We shall go. I must see just what kind of divine beauty has captured your father's heart so deeply, Mother said with a smile. When we reached the longevity and health courtyard where grandmother lived, we heard her laughter before we even entered the door. Choo-choo, you are such a good child. It is a blessing for my Jinghuai to marry you. I am naturally not as good as the madam in family background and moral character, but for Huai-Ge, I would lay down my life without hesitation. Oh dear, why compare yourself to her? She is dull and boring, and extremely jealous. If it were not for her father being Jinghuai's master, forcing Jinghuai to marry her, how could Jinghuai have taken her as his wife? Oh, is that so? Mother led me inside. So my marriage to Chu Jinghuai was forced by my father. Mother and I both looked at father, who sat on the side with a stiff smile. Why did you not refuse back then? You were not even the most skilled disciple under my father. My father favored senior brother Shu Wenyu the most. What business did a useless disciple like you, ranked dozens of places below, have in this? Mother said disdainfully, tearing off father's hypocritical mask without mercy. Father's face turned ugly with embarrassment. He slammed his fist on the table and stood up. Shu Jingyu, do not be so arrogant. Do not forget, your father is no longer here. Yes, my father is gone. So now you dare to be arrogant in front of me. First, you begged for an imperial edict for a marriage, breaking your promise. Then, you slandered me, trying to seize my power over the household. Now, the whole family is throwing the blame on my father. Mother let go of my hand, took a quick step forward, and raised her hand to slap father across the face. We watched as father's body flew through the air, crashed into the wall with a loud thud, and then fell to the ground. Grandmother screamed in fright. Chen Chuchu immediately ran over to hold father. "Why Ge, how are you?" Father looked up at mother in disbelief. "You know martial arts." Mother withdrew her hand, flicked the dust off her clothes calmly and said, "Not really, but I know a little more than you do." I clenched my fists and looked at mother, who was both beautiful and valiant, my eyes sparkling with admiration. "That's so cool, mother. I want to be just like you in the future." Mother stroked my head and chuckled. "Very well, mother will teach you." Then she lifted her eyes to look at grandmother, who shrank her neck in fear and did not dare to make a sound anymore. "Old madam, when one is old, one should watch one's words, otherwise, one will have their tongue pulled out when they go to hell. How dare you curse me?" Grandmother pointed at mother tremblingly, her voice lacking conviction. "Do you believe I will tell Huaya to divorce you? Divorce me? Does he dare?" Mother shot a glance at father, then turned around. "Come out to receive the imperial edict. Even if you do not divorce me, I have no intention of staying in the Chu mansion any longer." Thus, right after receiving the imperial edict granting father's marriage, mother received another imperial edict of divorce. As soon as Steward Wu left, father ignored his swollen and bruised face and immediately confronted mother. "How dare you go to the palace to beg for an imperial edict of divorce? This is a family matter. Why did you bypass me and bother the emperor? I naturally learned from you. Did you not also bypass me and go to the emperor to take a concubine? You only wanted to give that concubine an untouchable status, did you not? Since that is what you want, I am fulfilling your wish. Are you not happy?" "Impossible." He grabbed mother's hand. "Jingyu, I will not divorce you. I know you still love me. How can you bear to abandon me like this?" Mother smiled, her smile bright and dazzling, yet cold light flickered in her eyes. Then she shook off father's hand resolutely. "If you can abandon me, I can certainly abandon you. In this world, every person is an independent individual. No one cannot live without another, especially me, Xu Jingyu." With that, mother and I walked out of the mansion gate. Mother's steward from the outer courtyard had already hired a carriage. 2 personal maids and her dowry maids directed the servants to carry box after box of her dowry out of the general's mansion. We boarded the carriage one after another, and left in a grand procession with 8 carriages full of dowry. Finally, I lifted the curtain and saw grandmother and father with faces as green as if they had been poisoned. Chen Chuchu said something to father, but he shook her off impatiently. They all went back into the mansion, leaving Chen Chuchu standing alone at the gate, twisting her handkerchief in her hands, her face filled with venomous resentment. I shivered all over, let the curtain fall, and said, "Mother, that woman is sure to cause trouble." Mother was calm. "Let her. I am not afraid." "Yes, mother is the greatest. I thought someone like mother was more imposing than a general. Hadn't I seen her slap father flying with just one hand? If only mother were a man, then the merit of winning military battles would never have fallen to father." We moved into a mansion just a wall away from the Shu family. Uncle, mother's eldest brother, was waiting for us at the gate. He picked me up, patted mother's shoulder and said, "Well done. This is how a member of the Shu family should act. He who hesitates is lost. I originally wanted to take you home, but since you are unwilling, I will not force you. I know you are a proud person. You surely dislike living under someone else's roof. Only Big Brother understands me. Now that I live so close, I can go home whenever I want. It is perfect," mother said with a smile. In truth, I knew it was auntie, uncle's wife. She could not tolerate mother. It was all because grandfather and grandmother had doted on mother when they were alive, and had given her a dowry of a 10-li long red procession when she married. I could understand her unhappiness. But I also knew that many of the Shu family's properties had been run by Mother when she was an unmarried girl. What Mother took was only what she deserved. Uncle must have told Auntie this too. But Auntie still thought that what an unmarried girl earned belonged to the Shu family. Why should it be taken to the Chu family? I once heard her tell a maid that Mother was an ungrateful wretch. After that, I did not go to Uncle's house much anymore. I always felt that Auntie looked at me with disgust. After Grandfather and Grandmother passed away, Mother basically stopped going too, because every time she went, she would be subjected to Auntie's sarcastic remarks, but Mother always laughed it off. Not wanting to argue with her, I once asked Mother, why not refute her, or tell Big Uncle? Mother let out a bitter laugh. Would that not make me a vicious younger sister-in-law, sowing discord between my brother and his wife? As long as Big Brother and his wife live well, enduring a few words from her is nothing. It will not take a piece of flesh from me. I did not understand, and was still unconvinced. Mother pinched my little cheek. When you grow up and have brothers and sisters-in-law, you will understand. If you want your brothers to live well, you must keep their wives happy, otherwise, their lives will be turned upside down, and they will have no peace. Big Uncle has always been so good to me. I cannot bear to see him caught in the middle. Mother and I moved into the new mansion and lived in seclusion. I thought we would live in peace from then on, but Father actually came to the door, using my birthday as an excuse. His injuries were still not fully healed, and his eyes were swollen and bulging, like a toad's. When I saw him, I could not help but laugh out loud. He had intended to fly into a rage, but then he seemed to remember something and softened his tone, saying, "It's Leah's 5th birthday. This is my gift for you." He pulled out a box and held it out. I took it unceremoniously, opened it, and immediately threw it away, screaming, "Mother! Father sent a snake to harm me." I hid behind Mother, peeking out to see the snake spring up and bite